welcome to another booktube video from me, Lauren, from Lauren and the Books. I hope you're all doing very, very well this here Sunday morning. David's coming in just to tap. He's closing the door. Why are you closing the door for? Don't you love me?
Blow dry.
He's going to blow dry his hair. Today's video is a book haul. It wasn't planned to be a book haul. It's just I've got so many books I'm running out of space in my book haul hole. So I need to clear that because yeah, they were just getting too many there. So there is a video coming up hopefully next of my opinions on your most hated books, because I recently did a, that's not equal, is it? I recently did Instagram question things where I asked for your most hated books, and I will be filming that video soon, so never fear, that will be up soon. But yeah, book haul today. Books that I've bought, books that I've been sent from the publisher, and two books which I'll start with, which I've just received from my wish list, which is just amazing. And thank you to that person who sent me those two books. I never know whether to mention people by name, just because like I don't think I would want to be mentioned by name if I'd sent somebody a gift. But yeah, thank you to that person for sending me these books from my wish list. Absolutely wonderful. Lovely, lovely, lovely. The first one is Sitting Pretty by Rebecca Tausig, and this is a memoir. It says here, the view from my ordinary, resilient, disabled body. And yeah, so it's from this disability advocate, Rebecca, and it's an eye-opening essay collection that processes a lifetime of memories to paint a beautiful, nuanced portrait of a body that looks and moves differently than most. And when it arrived, I just sat and read the preface, and she's just got a lovely way about her. She just seems like hugely sort of positive and engaging and friendly. It just felt really lovely to sort of read that preface, so I'm really looking forward to reading this. This has been featuring quite heavily on BookTube. I know a lot of people have been reading it, and then it's been featuring there, so you may well be familiar with this already. Then next up, I've got Recipe for Persuasion by Sonali Dev, which I'm super excited for. I also already own Pride, Prejudice and Other Flavours by Sonali Dev, and based on those titles you might be able to work out that these are retellings of Jane Austen's work. So Pride, Prejudice and Other Flavours is retelling of Pride and Prejudice. Recipes for Persuasion is a retelling of Persuasion, and both of which have sort of like Bollywood and food themes in them, so I'm very excited to read that. I haven't read Persuasion before. I know there's a film coming out this year, so I'm very excited, but really pumped for this to arrive, because in June I'm going to be doing something that I've invented called June Austen, where I'm going to be reading two Jane Austen books that I haven't read before, Persuasion, which I haven't read, this is Persuasion, but there's a copy of Persuasion up there, and Emma, and then I'm going to be reading sort of adaptations of Persuasion and Emma and sort of other Jane Austen books. So for example, I'd like to get to Pride and Prejudice and Other Flavours. I've also got another Pride and Prejudice book. I think it might be called Prom and Prejudice somewhere. Yeah, so that's what I'll be doing in June. So very excited for this to arrive as well. But yeah, food and Jane Austen all together. Lovely. Right, okay, let's go on to the books that I've bought. So as you know, I'm on a sort of low spend year this year, trying to restrict the old spending just on everything really. But I did allow myself the rule of pre-orders. I was allowed to pre-order books, and I sort of, as this has gone on, I've sort of bought myself a few second-hand books and stuff, which I'm just going to allow myself to do. But then this one doesn't fit either of those, but I had to buy this, guys. This is The Island of Missing Trees by Elif Shafak. This is my Patreon book club book this month. We are reading a book from the Women's Prize for Fiction long list, and this won the vote. Now, I did have a reservation on it at the library, but I'm number 2, and I've been number 2 for about 3 weeks, so I don't think I'm going to get it beforehand. And when I listened to the audio book clip, I thought, oh, I just didn't love it, so I thought I would buy a copy of it. So yeah, so I'll be reading this. This sounds great. It's set in 1974. It's about 2 teenagers, one's Turkish and one's Greek, and they meet in this sort of taverna under a fig tree, and it's sort of like, I can't work out from the back whether it's a friendship thing or a romance thing. It's between Kostas and Daphne, and then it also is set in London. So we hear lots of perspectives here, including that perspective from a fig tree, which I'm very excited about to hear as well. So yes, that is going on my TBR for this month, so I need to keep that to one side. Then I've got 2 books that I bought second hand from the charity shelf at work, both 50p each. First one being The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Now, I've had this out from the library so many times. I've had the audiobook out on Libby so many times, and I never seem to get round to it. So I thought, well, if I can get myself my own copy for 50p, then definitely I will get it. This feels like a book that, like, if you're on BookTube, you have to have read it. I've previously enjoyed other Taylor Jenkins Reid books. I've got Malibu Rising. That was her one from a couple of years ago, which I still haven't read. But I loved Daisy Jones and the Six, very much enjoyed that. And this is about a reclusive Hollywood icon called Evelyn Hugo, and she's sort of telling her story about her scandalous sort of like Hollywood-filled life. And it opens up with it looks like it's going to be a bit sort of like multimedia, which I'm quite into. I enjoy that. Oh yeah, it is. Look, it's got like little torn out extracts and things like that. I love that. But it opens with a newspaper article about the fact that she's going to be selling all of her dresses from when she was a Hollywood starlet, a film legend and 60s it girl. So yes, excited to get round to that. And then I bought this, not really knowing much about it. This is Apeirogon by Colin McCann. And when I saw the front cover, I just remembered watching, there was a clip that Graham Norton did. Graham Norton, who is an author, but also a radio host and a TV presenter. He's Irish, so he's got quite a big sort of fan base, both in Ireland and the UK. He did like a video clip either last summer or the summer before, talking about 2 books that he'd read recently that he really enjoyed. One was oh my god, I can't remember, Liz Nugent's book, and I listened to the audiobook of it, a crime thriller about 2 brothers. And he also mentioned this, Colin McCann. He's very, very good. He was like, it was like a proper booktube video, because he was basically like sat in front of his bookshelf talking about his 2 books that he'd read that summer that he really enjoyed. And the other one was this one, Apeirogon. Now, it's about Rami and Bassam, who live in the city of Jerusalem, and they are sort of divided by an age-old conflict, and it talks about what they've got in common. They're both fathers of a daughter, and both of those daughters are lost. So yeah, it sort of goes into detail about the let me get it here, the political situation in Israel and Palestine. I don't know what sort of background Colin McCann has in terms of like Israel and Palestine, but we'll be interested to read more about it. Also, this has like little photos and stuff inserted throughout as well. So yeah, Graham said it would be good. And then this is one of my pre-orders that I ordered this year. So excited. It actually arrived early, which was so exciting, but I haven't started reading it yet. And that's Welcome to Your Life by Bethany Rutter. Bethany is a podcaster, a writer, and a jewellery maker. I love her and her co-host Alice Slater's podcast called What Page Are You On Pod. Absolutely think it is my favourite bookish podcast. I love it. They're just so chatty, and like their friendship and their enthusiasm for books, and even when they're interviewing authors who I sort of haven't heard of or haven't even read a book of, or potentially haven't even got interest of reading a book of theirs, I'm just so immersed in their podcast. I love it. And this is her most recent book. She has previously written YA. This is her first adult book, and it's about Serena Mills, and it opens on Serena's wedding day. And what I love about this is that it's her wedding day, but she sat in a harvester with a glass of wine and a Knickerbocker Glory, which is a big ice cream sundae basically, thinking, well, I'm not going to my wedding. And it's yeah, it just sounds amazing. And it's sort of based, I've heard Bethany talk about this on the podcast, and it's based on her sort of like dating experiences, so I'm excited to hear about that. And yeah, also Bethany is a proud chub girl, and this girl is a plus size person, and there's lots of like allusions to like, you just so in the blurb it says here, she's left the man everyone told her she was so lucky to find. And basically that's based on the fact that like she's a big girl, but you're so lucky that you've got someone that accepts that you're a big girl and things like that. So yeah, I'm looking forward to reading like a dating romantic book about a fat girl. Excited. And then these are the books that were sent to me by the publisher. The first one is a proof from Bloomsbury, and this is out on the 3rd of June. I've got some lovely little bits with this actually. This is called I Want to Die But I Want to Eat. I think that's pronounced Tteokbokki, by Bayek Shahi, and it's translated by Anton Her. This is a bestseller already in Korea. I also got sent like a little notebook that goes with it, with this sort of like artwork on it, and then I imagine this little dish on the back is what Tteokbokki is. I also got sent some little stickers as well, and a postcard, so very excited about that. This is the author, Bayek, sort of remembering her conversations that she had with her psychiatrist over a 12-week period, and it's told a lot in sort of like what her psychiatrist says, like transcript, and her sort of like re-looking at those and looking at depression and feeling low, anxious, self-doubting and things like that, which I know are definitely feelings that all of us probably feel at some point. So yeah, very excited to get into that. Very excited. Then this arrived, which I'm so excited about. I requested this from the publisher months ago, and it only just arrived, so I'd almost forgotten that it was happening. So this is The Incident by Amy Liptrot. I previously read The Outrun by Amy Liptrot, which I absolutely loved, and is about Amy relocating to the Outrun, which the front cover looks very much like this. Nature writing from Amy when she relocated from London to live in Orkney. I'm sure it was Orkney, yeah, working for the RSPB and doing a sort of project on finding out how many birds there were on the island and like the differences between her life. It also has a lot of themes of like her recovering from her addiction and stuff like that. Very exciting. And then I say exciting, but like it was sort of, I just loved the nature writing of it and the themes that were covered, and I just loved Amy's writing. So when I heard she had another book coming out, I was so excited. And then this is about her leaving Orkney behind and moving to Berlin, and what her life has become now compared to what it was in Orkney, compared to what it was in London. And yeah, I also believe that this might have a little bit to do with motherhood as well, because I believe she meets somebody in this book, so memoir, and becomes a mother. So yeah, there we go. If Amy Liptrot is a nature writer, then it is human nature that occupies her. She is a literary warrior, says Benjamin Myers. Lovely. Very exciting. Oh, listen to this. The day we meet, 5 months exactly after I arrived in Berlin, I buy a bicycle bell. I will ring the bell all summer. I think of all the time I've applied mascara and all the railway stations I've waited at. We sit on a cafe windowsill and my body is alert and buzzing. I look at him with my eyes wide, full of hope. That's great. Then I got sent a book that I've already read. So this is The Book of Form and Emptiness by Ruth Ozeki. The publisher got in touch with me and said, would you like a paperback copy of it? And I said, yes, please. They also sent me a lovely t-shirt, which I would have worn today, but as you may be able to see, I'm dressed as Catherine of Aragon today because I started filming my Catherine of Aragon reading vlog. And this has got, look at that little crystal ball with Ozeki written on it, and then it's got a quote from it's got this quote on the back, features in the book, and it says librarian because badass motherfucker isn't an official job title. So yeah, I will definitely be wearing that. But I actually, by the time I received this, I had read the book. So I've got this copy of The Book of Form and Emptiness. Potentially I will give it away on my Patreon page. Maybe I will do that. But yeah, I very much enjoyed it. It's long listed for the Women's Prize for Fiction. You're following Benny after his father dies in a sort of tragic accident. Objects in his house and out and about in the world start talking to him. And it's not quite as light-hearted as it sounds. You're following him and his sort of like discovery of libraries and the community around a library, and you're also following his mother who there's so many sort of like themes in this book that just when you think you've unearthed another theme, or like there's another sort of like imagery for something else, really enjoyed it a lot. Then I've been sent the hardback copy, because I've already been sent the paperback copy of The Return of Faraz Ali by Amina Ahmed. This is out on the 5th of April and published by Skepta. It says, as riots erupt on the streets of Lahore, Inspector Faraz Ali returns to his birthplace, the red light district in the walled inner city where women still pass on the profession of courtesan to their daughters. Wrested from his mother as a child by his influential father to give him a chance at respectability, Faraz has kept his roots secret ever since. Now his father has sent him back to cover up the murder of a young prostitute. So yeah, sounds a murder mystery type thing, crimey book. Excited. And then I've also got this book. Oh, there we go. Oh, this was sent to me because I got, so this was sent to me sort of, I think on a bit of a delay actually, because I'd read Paradise by Hanya Yanagihara, so I've got a Paradise pin and another lovely tote bag from Picador, so that's in amongst there. And then the last two I've got are The Bewitched by Jill Dawson. This is published by Skepta, and this is coming out on the 7th of July. I mean, look at that for a proof copy. Gold foiling, absolutely gorgeous. And it says here, Alice Samuel might be old and sharp-tongued, but she's no fool. Visiting her new neighbour in her Fenland village, she suspects Squire Throckmorton's household is not as God-fearing as it seems and finds the children troubled. Yet when one of the daughters accuses her of witchcraft, Alice has no inkling of how quickly matters will escalate and fails to grasp the danger she is in. As evidence mounts against Alice, soon the entire village is swept up in the frenzied persecution of one of their own community. So yeah, it's a shocking novel drawing in the 16th century cases of the witches of Warboys. Very excited. I can't get over how gorgeous that front cover is. And it's got like a woman who's potentially about to eat a mouse. It's gorgeous front cover, apart from eating the mouse. And then lastly, I've got this, which is published by Bluebird Books, and this is Brown Girl Like Me, the essential guidebook and manifesto for South Asian girls and women by Jaspreet Kaur. And this is like a memoir and Jaspreet's experiences of living as a brown girl in the UK, in one of the first books in a generation to speak directly to the experiences of South Asian women in Britain, Author, teacher and poet Jaspreet Kaur delves into some of the most complex conversations brown women are tackling today. With expert, accessible explorations of topics from beauty standards to family and education, this book is essential reading for anyone wanting to build a fuller picture of women's lives in Britain today across a wide variety of backgrounds and perspectives. So it also has interviews in here from different South Asian women in the UK and around the world, and it says it gives space to many different voices and viewpoints, showing that although there is no single experience that all brown women share, there is solidarity and community that extends online and offline across the globe. I mean, that sounds fucking brilliant. So yeah, very good. And I've just opened it up at chapter 4 and it says smashing shame, menstruation and other taboos. And I love hearing about menstruation. True, I do. So there we go. There's some books that I've read in the month of April. Let me know if you have read any of these. Let me know if you haven't read any but you're excited to read them. Very, very much always excited to hear what you think of the books that I haul. And I'll see you all again soon for another Bewitched video. Goodbye!